And welcome, everyone, to a Pac-12 chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Washington head coach Mike Hopkins. And, Mike, you guys were actually in the initial sort of epicenter in the first outbreak of the coronavirus. And if memory serves, you guys were in Arizona, chose not to go to Seattle and go straight to Las Vegas. So if we can go back just first, what were those couple days like before the Pac-12 tournament as things were just sort of steamrolling, not just in Seattle, but across the country as you guys had to make those kind of decisions?
Well, I think it was really scary, to be honest with you. You started, hearing the impact and obviously being so close to home. We just felt like it was in the best interest to go straight from Arizona to Las Vegas and, get away from the airport. We were chartering anyway, and we just thought it would be in the best interest of, our student athletes. And we called Jen Cohen, and she was like, automatic, make that change. So we were able to spend a couple days together, team bond and be safe. So it all worked out.
How anxious were your players during those first few days?
I think so. I think they were really anxious. I think every day as it went further, it became more real and real. I think it's at the beginning, it was like, okay, how serious is this? And you started to hear the numbers, and then you knew, where I live, Kirkland right there is, I think, 4 miles away. We had players texting me at night, like, are we going to be okay? Is this really safe? And, you just try to encourage them to, everything's going to be okay. And it's not really affecting the younger. At that time, it wasn't affecting an 18, 19, 20-year-old strong, athletic kid. It was more hitting, the between 60 and 80 years old. So I think there was always concern, but we hopefully were able to calm them down.
And then once you guys left Las Vegas after the one day of the Pac-12 tournament and went back home, what was it like on campus in that Seattle area in that immediate 24 to 48 hours as everything was starting to shut down?
Well, we had, unfortunately lost to Arizona in the first round, and we were back at the hotel. We were supposed to leave the next day at 4 p.m. I was with my two sons and my brother. We were eating dinner at the hotel, and it was, came over that Rudy Gobert had it, and now they're going to, shut down. I mean, it was just like this fast. The NBA shutting down. It was like they're not going to play the rest of the season. And I'm calling Jamie Zavanovich. I'm asking him, how's everything going? The league, like, what's going on? And we decided to get on the early flight because there was rumors that the airports were going to shut down. And so we wanted to make sure that we had everybody home and safe. And so we decided to get up early the next morning, get there at 8. We came in and have a meeting with everybody and talk about, our trainer, Pat Jenkins, talk to them about social distancing and kind of the reality of what's happening. And if you have any symptoms, this is who you would call. So there was this process that was it was so fluid. It was just changing rapidly. But, Pat really helped us during that process.
So what's it like now? I mean, because Seattle was sort of the first city that we heard about. And what's it like now on campus, or at least in your area?
Well, you know what? Another thing that I did mention, Andy, a lot of our guys, we have some East Coast kids, and a lot of their families wanted them to be home with their families, and so we had sent the university had allowed them to go and be with their families, and that was pretty difficult not having them here. And then obviously the governor came out and talked about we had to stay in our homes and such like that. So it was just this transition to see how can we stay connected. And you see Zoom. I'm sure we all said, I wish we bought stock in Zoom. But it was one of those things where, how can we be connected? How can we give them updated information? How are we going to do the academic piece? We started our quarter on Monday, and I think everybody was just kind of learning day by day. But our academic staff, Kim Durant's staff, has done an amazing job getting these guys organized. Every morning at 9 a.m., we have a Zoom meeting as a check-in. We're trying to keep them consistent. We talk about nutrition. We talk about all these things that they need to do on a day-to-day basis. Which Cameron Dollar had the greatest thing. He says, is there a Zoom etiquette? And what's the Zoom etiquette?
There is. There actually is.
There is. And so, it was great. We were trying to educate these guys, and it's been working so far for sure.
All right. In terms of, you've got the connection down, at least connecting with your players, but staying in shape. Every player may have a different situation. Some might be in an apartment, and I don't know what your group is, but some might be in an apartment. Some might have a hoop in front of their house. Some might be able to run in an open area. How are you handling each player maybe having a different set of circumstances in their close proximity of their environment?
Just again, like educating Todd Tukin, our strength coach, who does a great job. Like, he's done YouTube videos, just kind of like, if you don't have weights, this is some things that you can do with books or whatnot. Or he gets on the phone and he walks up the stairs. And for most of the guys, it's how can you stay active? So we're not really allowed to have any team type of events where we do a conditioning part. We can just kind of give them examples of what they can do and should do. But the number one focus for us has been their health and wellness, making sure that they're, the social distancing. We say that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day. Because a lot of these kids, they think they can go out and do certain things, especially when they're at home. We can't control that. Just constantly educating them on that. And then academically, I think the biggest scare is when your kids aren't there, and it's hard to hold them accountable, running in the morning if they're here or whatnot, to make sure that they're in those meetings. And it's actually been great because they send us all these Zoom meetings with their mentors and with their tutors. And even though we're only 4 days in, we have access to it. So we can just jump on in a meeting and see how they're learning, what they're doing. And it helps us connect maybe a little bit easier than it would during the year.
So Isaiah Stewart, no shock, declared for the NBA draft. But, from my vantage point, I thought he had great buy-in, even though he was a likely one and done, and really was invested into this program, into this season. How would you describe what he did for this program and embraced this season at Washington?
He's all about team. He's all about work. He checks all the boxes. He had a 3.85 in his first quarter as a student athlete. I mean, everything that he does is all about, a standard of excellence. And I had said this before, he's obviously, he won some games. We didn't have the year we thought we would have, but his impact in terms of our culture would be there for the next 30 years. He's just that type of a kid. And, Isaiah was all about team. He was all about, working hard. And, when you always can really judge somebody by how they handle adversity. And now you got this number one pick, top first round pick in your program. We lose a point guard. We're going through a struggle during the year, and nothing changed. It was all about work. It was all about positivity, trying to pick up the other guys, and really, really proud of him, and just honored to had coached him for a year. And I think any coach would tell you, our job is to obviously give them the skills to be successful for the rest of their lives on and off the court. But to see somebody's dream come true, if it's graduating from college, if it's getting their dream job, if it's playing in the NBA, I think there's no, better feeling of fulfillment for a coach, and just so happy and proud of them.
Mike, all things being equal, if we have, the fall like we hope we will, and you guys are back on the court in November, what will next season's Washington Huskies team look like?
Well, I think, obviously we'll have Quad A back. We had, even though we struggled, we had a 9-game struggle. We had some great moments, and we got a lot of young guys with a lot of inexperience at the beginning of the year. They've now got experience. They got a lot of time, and we've learned a lot. And I think anytime, and, being older, I think really matters. And so going into next year, we'll have 3 seniors, Quad A, Nas Carter and Hamir Wright, guys who have had, 2 of them had played for 4 years here. It would be their 4th year and have a lot of experience. Quad A is obviously an elite point guard. Jamal Bay's got a year older. We had 2 big guys, Brian Penn Johnson and Nate Roberts, who are 2 guys that could have played for any team in our league and probably should have earned minutes for us this year. They're chomping at the bit to get on that court, which I think will be big contributors this year. Marcus Tahonis got a lot of minutes. Raekwon Battle's an elite shooter. But I think that the most difficult part of this time is, after we had the season we had, you want to get on the court and you want to start working. But they all have great attitudes. We've got I'm not allowed to talk about it, but we've had some newer guys that will come into the program. But I'm really excited to coach this group. I know that they want to have a great year. They'll work for it, and we should be pretty exciting to watch.
Appreciate it, Mike. Stay safe, and hopefully sooner than later we're going to be on the other side of this.
Andy, you're the best, buddy. Thank you very much, and go Dogs!